From Attractions Magazine, Six Flags says closing or selling more parks is priority. This by Blake Taylor, November 7th, 2025. Six Flags may close or sell more of its theme parks after already shuttering several as the company continues to evaluate its portfolio after merging with Cedar Fair. And we say more because, well, unfortunately, after 50 years, Six Flags America officially closes this November 4th here. Alexa May Aspirin with the news from Fox 11 Los Angeles. And that also included nearby Hurricane Harbor as well. That closed over there in Bowie, Maryland. No good. Absolutely not at all. And to hear that they may actually be closing more parks as a priority, well, that's no good either. There you go. Six Flags may close or sell more parks. Brian Withrow, Executive VP and CFO of Six Flags, expressed the quote, getting the portfolio smaller and more nimble is a priority during the company's quarterly earnings call on November 7th, 2025. So we're going to look at the parks where our returns are the greatest and where the opportunities for growth are the highest. And we're going to focus on those theme parks. And the other parks will look to monetize and use those proceeds to reduce debt. Yeah, we've talked about it before, how Six Flags is not in an enviable position after already, selling land out from under them or land around some of their existing parks in order to generate capital, in order to, pay down their debt or even make those interest payments, maybe even pay payroll. Well, now all this is coming together. And here's the thing, too. The Wall Street Journal recently had an article in which they featured comments from a recent earnings call from Six Flags. I believe it was their Q2 2025 earnings call, in which they said 90% of the company's earnings before taxes and interest come from its 15 largest parks. That was by Brian Withrow as well, talking about the state of the company. And that's the thing, too. I think they also, they have announced previously that they're going to be closing California Great America and Santa Clara sometime between 2028 and 2032 as part of this restructuring right here. So I kind of give it to you guys right here. Now that Six Flags Cedar Fair, obviously the merger has happened. Now that we're getting the closures of these theme parks, what more which other parks would you expect to close here in the coming, I would say, 5 years or so?
I guess I would just arrive at the conclusion. I'm not surprised. I mean, they've got a lot of parks that don't have a lot of market penetration, and the bigger problem to discuss around Six Flags was the regionality of the parks that they operated.
Yeah,
they really didn't penetrate across the United States like a lot of other amusement park properties did. I mean, Cedar Fair, it could be argued, everybody knew, Cedar Fair parks. Everybody knew where they were. Everybody traveled to go see them. A lot of people spent, a sojourn in the summer to go to Ohio to check out, one of the greatest theme parks on the planet. But not a lot of people outside of maybe, Magic Mountain. That was one that had singled itself out and had been part of film lore and had unique offerings that attracted people from around the world. And, it's time for you to exit if you wanted to get on the X coaster, amongst many of the other things, like the original hanging coaster, the Batman coaster, and many of the other things that were there. But there wasn't a lot of people that traveled the world to go there. And I think that that's one of the problems that they suffer with is the lack of ability to appeal beyond their region. And I think that's kind of what's been shown, not to mention the fact that they have, I would say they waste an awful lot of money by not, consolidating their parks and their advertising and everything else into singular locations that are unique enough to market themselves. They've never been able to do that. Whereas Cedar Fair, I mean, the stuff in Ohio people would want to travel from around the world. I mean, you had YouTubers that would go and do specific attractions so that they could, do them on their channels and stuff like that. You didn't have that with any of the offerings from the Magic Mountain or the Six Flags side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ron,
It's
yeah. Okay,
No,
please.
I was just going to say this is where I started my career at was Six Flags. I mean, Six Flags
Yeah.
St. Louis was my, I worked there when I was 18 years old, literally a senior in high schools when I got my first job as a caricature artist there. I learned how to draw caricatures there by the company that was running that program. And then a couple years later was in one of the shows at Six Flags St. Louis, actually more than one show. And then with that, being this, I had a lot of free time. I was early. What was I, 20 years old? So I think I also learned how to drive the train and spiel on the train and did, character for a day and played Batman at night. I did a lot of things that year. And then it went on to Silver Dollar City the next year. So I mean, these regional parks mean a lot to me, but I always saw in them the opportunity to an opportunity that they never seemed to use, which was to market to the people in the area more as a place to be entertained in such a bigger way than just rides can ever do. I always thought all of these parks lacked entertainment. That's where Opryland and Disney World came in when I was a kid. When you went to Opryland, and I think Dollywood does a phenomenal job of this as well, is the entertainment aspect. When you can go in there and you look at the rides, and the rides are like, oh man, there's like a 2-hour wait. Well, let's go see a show. And the show is just like, wow, I had just much fun or more fun watching the show than going on the ride. That is a very important part of your general admission. And back in the day, I don't know if they still do it, Six Flags would have a concert series during the summer. They bring in famous people. I saw Weird Al there. I saw the Monkees live.
Well, they were actually a step up from the State Fair as far as their entertainment options. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And some of I really do feel like as California became the larger part of Six Flags, that they kind of stepped away from that because they didn't feel like they could compete with Disney or any of the other offerings in the area. And that was always sad because like they really didn't play off enough the fact that they were part of a major movie franchise. I'm sorry, but Six Flags was, a vacation film to me. And for a lot of people, maybe they didn't get a chance to have the takeaway that I did. But I always feel like, and this is the bigger problem that Cedar Fair now has to contend with, because Six Flags and Cedar Fair are the same company, is that they need to be able to hone in on the things that make them larger than life, and that they can promote as larger than life, and that are truly unique in the United States and not just some other inverted roller coaster. And I think that's this is one of the ways that Dollywood delineates itself from any other entertainment options on the planet, as you were pointing out just a moment ago, Ron. I think you're right. I mean, the shows, the physical presentation, the fact that they are building an environment for you to exist in that's all encompassing, like you are a part of it. And that's the difference between regional amusement parks and theme parks. Theme parks make you feel enveloped, and this is the distinction I think that Cedar Fair / Six Flags needs to find and define for themselves. And I think that will help their survivability and their success rate. And I think that that's been something that I've been yelling for the better part of 20 years, but nobody listens.
Yeah.
No, I fully agree with you. To set yourself apart with entertainment, especially right now when you can't necessarily make big investments across the chain. Entertainment is a great way to get people to come back, keep people to get in, and keep people interested in your product. Like, if they, I don't know, opt for an annual pass, for example, and keep coming back, and then they spend more on the surrounding elements like food and merchandise and stuff like that. I think it's a great way, Ron. I think you really touched on something really incredible. That Six Flags as the chain could implement in order to prevent some of these parks from going away. Now, we knew, because we're theme park guys, right? We understand that this is definitely a localized amusement chain, right? In that it caters to the surrounding areas much more than maybe Walt Disney World or Universal does. But because of that, when they merge, you can't have like a Cedar Fair park next to a Six Flags park and expect both of them to still be in operation 10 years down the line. We all kind of knew that they were gonna favor one of those parks to the other if they were within close proximity of each other. That being said, though, it's still really sad to see these parks go away and close, and it affects the communities so much. And it really is sad. Hopefully they are able to turn it around. But man, going into this, I think the Cedar Fair executives were underestimating just how much trouble Six Flags was actually in, and they are doing their darndest to turn things around. But maybe Travis Kelce and his new investments into Six Flags can help them turn things around as well. But again, I'm not holding my breath. Unfortunately,
Hey, I think Mr. Taylor Smith may have his finger on the pulse. You don't know.
yeah, exactly. Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. Oh boy, it's bizarre.
One other thing that I want to note real quick is when I walked into Six Flags as an employee back in 1990, the first. It's 90, 91, 92, all of those years that I worked there. One of the biggest things that stuck out to me was a huge banner that every employee would walk under on the way into the backstage areas, and that was Six Flags cleanest parks in America, because they were voted the cleanest parks in America back then, and that was huge. I don't know how many park operators understand that maintenance and keeping your product looking sharp and clean, and it is such a simple thing to hire the right maintenance people, to have enough staff to do it, and to keep parks clean and litter free. So important. And the reason I bring that up is because obviously that was something Disney was known for years.
Yep.
And that has slipped there a lot lately. I noticed when I was a cast member at Disney, you could get fired for overlooking a piece of trash and not picking it up.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't. You get, you'd get talked to typically. But nowadays, I've seen casts literally just look at trash, ignore it, and walk on, and nobody does anything. And it's an important, like, every little detail of these parks are part of the experience that somebody pays money to go to when they go. And I'm just thinking about all of the memories, and I'm sure Culture has these too. You have these, the memories that we have from these parks in our lives, of the environment, the cleanliness, the entertainment, and the rides. To me, the rides are like icing on the cake of everything else, and the experience of actually being in this place that you can't get outside of a theme park. What you can get in a theme park, they're very important. They're very special. They're important to the culture, and especially in an age where we just discussed the last thing about AI coming. Having reality and real experiences is so important, and I hope that all of these companies and leadership ups their game and gets it together so that for years and generations into the future, we have these experiences for people to come.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.